So I've been inspired to talk about this through Novi's most recent live. So if you don't already follow Conversations and Constellations, I believe that's how you say it. It's either Conversations and Constellations or it's Constellations and Conversations. But I think it's the first way. And yeah, if you don't already follow and subscribe to Novi, please do, because she gives so much wealth of information out, and especially on astrology. And we love astrology. So I want to talk about this from my perspective because it's something that I've seen be very real, very true, and it's something that I practice as a practical alchemy, practical magic on the daily to incentivize my health. So again, this is from personal experience, but that's also because I'm a Cancer rising, so I wanted to talk about this. And I was inspired because on Novi's live recently, she was speaking on health. And sometimes she does speak on health in different ways of how it affects each sign. But as I was listening, I was just like, wow, this is so real. And speaking of health in terms of the sixth house, so it's very apparent why one would be talking about health in the sixth house, because we're freshly into this Virgo energy, Virgo season. So happy birthday to the Virgos. And yeah, happy practical alchemy / practical magic that you can be practicing through these different matters of health and work-life balance and mental health specifically as well. So working with the sixth house, Cancer rising, you need to make sure that your liver health is on point. And different ways that we do that is by naturally, maybe you don't drink that much, or you don't drink at all. Like for me, in my experience, hold on, I had to make sure the audio was still going. But yeah, for me, in my experience, I didn't have great experiences with drinking alcohol. And as we know, the liver metabolizes and breaks down waste from drugs, right? And alcohol is considered a drug. So that's one thing that you should be aware of as far as being a Cancer rising. With Sagittarius sitting in the sixth house, Sagittarius rules the hips, the thighs, and the liver. So in this lifetime, you could have things, you could have experiences where your hips are more prominent in life, in this life. Maybe you have beautiful hips, wide hips, maybe you work your hips, maybe doing belly dancing, helps you regulate your energy, regulate your, what's the word? I'm just going to say energy. And another thing with that as well that I want to speak on from my experience is I've actually had hips in this lifetime to hurt a lot. Sometimes my hips hurt when it's raining. Sometimes my hips hurt through emotional pains as well. So, and I also have moon in the sixth house. So, staying on top of your health is very important. But sometimes it's going to be a little bit more concentrated in your life, especially if you have planets going through the sixth house as well. Okay, so prominent hips and thighs. Lastly, the liver. So something that you can practice mundane magic doing is making sure that you wake up and drink a warm cup of water. Warm cup of water and lemon. You don't necessarily have to do this every day, but I think especially if you are a woman, you should be doing this during your luteal phase. Luteal phase and a little bit before it. Because that's around the time where, we're preparing for our cycle in the first place. So I think it's very important to know what part of the cycle that you're in, as we have different parts of our cycles. We have the menstrual cycle, we have the ovulation phase, we have the follicular phase, and then we have the luteal phase as well. So, knowing what cycle you're on is important to know how to treat your body as well. So I want to go through some different functions of the liver, and this is me quoting, this is me quoting John Hopkins medicine. So we're going to go over the liver anatomy and function. So the function, we're just going to go over the functions because, you don't want to go that deep right now. But the functions of the liver actually are composed of more than 500 vital functions, which is so interesting because our bodies do a lot for us. So, waking up and having gratitude for not only yourself, but your organs, your body, like thanking your cells, thanking your organs for functioning properly is high key important, especially when there's people right now that are suffering from, failed kidney or all these things, Okay, so different functions would be production of bile, which helps carry away waste and break down fats in the small intestine during digestion. Also, we have production of certain proteins for blood plasma, production of cholesterol, and special proteins to help carry fats through the body, conversion of excess glucose into glycogen, I think that's how you pronounce it, glycogen for storage. Glycogen can later be converted back to glucose for energy. And I think that's interesting too. So I think sometimes people, like when people work out and things like that, sometimes people have the mindset of like, oh, I can eat however I want because I'm going to just, be able to work out and it be moved around and things like that. But there is a such thing as, I think when people hear glucose, we think just sugar, but there's a difference between sugar breaking down and refined sugars. So just a tidbit on that. Regulation of blood levels of amino acids, which form the building blocks of proteins, processing of hemoglobin for use of its iron content. Interesting. So the liver stores iron. I think this is also going back to the importance of knowing which cycle you're in, because as we prepare for our menstrual cycle, during the luteal phase, that's around the time where we want to be building up blood the most, especially because when you're on your cycle, your menstrual cycle, we're losing blood. So that's important to know. And when you lose blood, your iron is, lowering as well. Okay, another function we have here is conversion of poisonous ammonia to urea. Urea is an end product of protein metabolism and excreted in the urine. Clearing the blood of drugs and other poisonous substances, regulating blood clotting, important, especially for, the cycles. So if you experience heavy blood flow or blood clotting during your menstrual cycle, it's safe to say that you should be focusing and incentivizing the health of your liver and how to further work with that, doing a liver cleanse specifically. Resisting infections by making immune factors and removing bacteria from the bloodstream. Clearance of bilirubin, also from red blood cells. If there is an accumulation of bilirubin, the skin and eyes turn yellow, which is interesting because, we always have like things in our lives that kind of like bring us back to moments. And one moment that reading that brought me back to was the fact that when I was a little girl, my mom would tell me like, you can always tell when someone has too much like sugar or salt in their body because their nail beds will be yellow and your nail bed should be clear and things like that. And that was something that stuck out to me when I was a kid because I remember one of my mom's partners having yellowish looking nails, and I would ask him, why is that? And he wouldn't know, but then she told me. So, I just reflect back and think about a lot of the things that I've been taught have been to my benefit, especially from my mom. So shout out to her. But yeah, that's what I have for Cancers, for your health, for your 6th house being in Sagittarius. If you have any questions on things you could do, let me know. I will save and say the practical alchemy that I myself do at the very end of this video, which is now. So some things that I like to do to make sure that my liver health is functioning beautifully is by doing Qigong in the rising. Do some Qigong, do some tapping, doing somatic healing, tapping, getting into the tapping and also getting into the moving your body in different ways. So like something that I've been, and you might ask, how does somatic healing help your liver? But it's connected. So, and especially if you are dealing with this in particular, I'm going to tell you in 1 second. So first, with the Qigong, you're getting your body moving. There's different forms of Qigong and different movements that you can actually do to get your liver warmed up, I should say, in the rising, and also your lymphatic system. So within your lymphatic system, that's going to include your liver. So making sure to, tap your body, making sure to rub your stomach in a circular motion, making sure to do castor oil packs, especially if you have fibroids, for example, or even if you don't, if you have painful cycles, doing castor oil packs will help you detox your liver in particular, because that is being drawn out through the castor oil. And you tend to put the castor oil like right here in this area, which we know is where the liver is. Your liver is on your right side, right where the small intestines and the kidney is, and your stomach. What else? Oh, okay, so in the beginning I already said this, but the warm cup of water in the rising with lemon. And if you don't have lemon, use cayenne pepper. You need some type of circulation, some type of flow with the warm water. And if you don't have cayenne pepper, use black pepper. Those, peppers is going to be good for getting things moving. So as long as you are encouraging circulation, you're more than likely going to have a bowel movement, which is what you want. Making sure that you don't eat too late, I think, is also important for taking care of your health with your liver, taking care of your liver health specifically, because making sure that you don't eat too late is making sure that you don't put too much pressure on your organs to be overworked when you go to sleep. Your organs should not be overworked. You shouldn't be feeling sluggish when you wake up. That is not good. And lastly, How is somatic healing good for your liver? Somatic healing is and can be good for your liver detox or liver functioning, liver health, because your liver is also connected to your emotion of anger. If you have anger that's being processed or that is not being processed, is more than likely because of a connection with your liver and being stopped up, for lack of better words, being full of a lot of people that are full of can also be temperamental, angry, have anger issues, things like that. And if there is information out there on that saying that directly, it's not because I researched it. This is just what I know from experience. Also, another thing too that I noticed is that when you have to take when you have to do a bowel movement, sometimes that pressure, especially like if you don't go immediately, if you don't release yourself immediately, that pressure can make you feel like you want to do other things. So I'm sorry, I'm trying not to laugh. Yeah, it can make you feel like you want to do something else that's clearly not what you actually want to do, but it's just the pressure there could make you feel like, for example, that you want to... Actually, I'll save that for another video. We won't talk about that right now. Okay, so yeah, that's what I have for you guys. Oh, also herbal tea, obviously. So drinking herbal tea as well. Doesn't have to be 3 times a day, but I know for sure if you aren't going to do the warm water and lemon or warm water and pepper, definitely drink dandelion tea. Dandelion mixed with burdock, mixed with some nettle and milk thistle seed. That combination will be really good for you to stay on top of your liver functioning health, your liver health. So yeah, let me know in the comments how this impacts you, what you naturally do yourself. Maybe you've been doing these things and you're already like, oh, like, I do this all the time. Maybe you don't, who knows? But I do want to say that this is definitely important for Cancer risings, that we stay on top of our liver function, stay on top of our liver health, and don't drink too much, don't smoke too much. Drinking and smoking or just doing drugs, period, is going to be detrimental to your liver health, and nobody needs that, because you need your liver to get rid of this excess waste. Okay, let me know in the comments. I might do some other signs as well, but I wanted to do mine first because that's what my platform is all about, me giving you guys my experience. And I was inspired again by Novi, so shout out to her. And yeah, happy Virgo season again.